I'd love to say that welcome was for me, but it's not. We're at Windsor Castle here, and that's the changing of the guard, and the Queen was in residence here yesterday. However, I'm not here to see her, but to see .NET-Solutions.
So I'm Dan Scuff, I'm CEO and co-founder of .NET-Solutions.
Hi there, my name is Ravi Noah and I'm Head of Projects at .NET-Solutions.
So .NET-Solutions, we're a systems integrator and ISV based in Windsor. We do lots of evidencing work for Microsoft around their new technologies and generally get to play with all of the new toys.
Yep, so today we're going to show you some of the cool projects that we've been working on, of which we've got Wikipedia Explorer, which is using WPF and Azure, and we've got Scrumwall, and maybe we'll throw in a couple of other things as well.
So the first app we're going to look at today is Wikipedia Explorer. So some of you might have seen the original version of Wikipedia Explorer. We released it around the same time that Vista came out as a demonstration of WPF and the new graphics capabilities. Ultimately, what we wanted to do was come up with a new browsing experience so that you could find related documents and find related articles much more easily than you could with the traditional web-based interface to Wikipedia. The way that we did this was to come up with a spider's web effect where you could see all of the different documents and how all of the different documents link to each other. In the original version of the application, we used to go to Wikipedia each time somebody searched. We'd spider their site, we'd convert that site into XAML, and we'd then render it through the interface. The problem was performance on it was lousy because we were having to go to Wikipedia the whole time. You got different visualizations based on what links we happened to download first and the order that we then put them onto the screen. And generally the experience for users was not what we wanted. So we thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if we could download the whole of Wikipedia as one big dump file? We can do all of this pre-processing in advance, we can calculate all of the links between all the documents, and we can then have a much more fluid experience for our users. The problem was these dump files are around 20 gigabytes. We worked out that on a single server it would take something like 6 months to actually do this conversion process. Wikicode is otherwise known as the devil's markup language. It's absolutely horrendous to work with. You have to use lots of recursive functionality, very, very processor intensive. But we don't want to do this that often. We only download the dump files every 2 or 3 weeks, so we're slightly behind. So we've got massive requirements for short periods of time, followed by no processing requirements. So we were kind of flummoxed at the time, and then, as if by magic, Microsoft announced Windows Azure, and it looked like it could be the perfect fit. So we ported Wikipedia Explorer onto Azure, and it's actually performing fantastically well for us. So what we can do now is we can actually show you the application and show you the user experience that we're now able to offer. So Wikipedia Explorer is a WPF smart client application. We've delivered it using Click Once technology. You fire up the application, this is the screen that you come into, and we can now just go straight ahead and start searching across all the documents inside Wikipedia. As we type up in the right hand side, this is now going to Azure. It's actually running through the 17 million documents inside Wikipedia and is actually providing us a fast search across all of them. We can then bring up the actual document itself. We see on the right hand side here the actual text view of the document. We can expand that out by just clicking on the button here. We have the normal WPF goodness that we can zoom in and out on that. We can change the display type of it and generally provide a much richer view of that. We can actually now go ahead and say it's Windsor Castle that we're interested in, seeing as we're here in Windsor today. You can see we've got all the pictures that are coming through and all of the text as it's shown on Wikipedia. What's particularly cool, though, you would have seen pop up a second ago, is this network view. So here we can see all of the different articles and how they all interrelate to each other. We can drag the view around, we can zoom in and out by using the mouse wheel, and we can just generally pan around to see all of that information presented to us. We can then click on another article, for example the Duke of Wellington, and click to load up that document by clicking on the little arrow. And we can see we immediately jump through to that. We can also see some slightly different views of those links, so we can click up to the links at the top and we get a nice carousel view of that. And generally we've got a whole brand new browsing experience for Wikipedia.
Okay, so this is the main project screen when you enter Scrumwall. Scrumwall was built using Silverlight 2 and obviously using Azure. first thing that you need to do when you enter Scrumwall is you need to create a new project. So you can create a project, you can enter the details of the project, so the name of the project, the business sponsor, the description of the project, and the start date. What you can also do here is you can actually add other users so they can access your Scrumwall using the by using the add button there. So at the moment only one user can see this wall. You then actually see this project, then you can actually launch the Scrumwall. And what you need to do now is you need to start adding the stories into the backlog. So the stories here are the features that your customer requires. So we have a number of these. You can enter the story title here. You can also do some clever things such as scribe on these notes as well. So you can doodle around if you've got a smartboard or you've got a tablet, which is pretty cool. So you can you enter a number of these stories into your backlog, and then you actually move them over into your sprint. The sprint being the work that you're going to be doing in the next iteration. You can then create tasks for this story, and these are the tasks that developers or the designers or your infrastructure guys need to actually do. Once you've completed your task, you can also add complexity and ownership to the stories by double-clicking on them, and again adding that. Currently there's only one user, but you can add. So the complexity is the technical complexity of this story, and if you guys are agile proponents, you'll know exactly what that does. So what happens now is, as you go through your project, you actually will want to show your customer, your offsite teams, how you are progressing, typically in the daily stand-up. So in the daily stand-up, somebody will say, I've been working on the Get Ravi on Stage story, and they're moving that from the task column into the work in progress column. And naturally in this process, notes move from left to right, and then once the entire story is complete, you drop the story on top. So this is great on one screen, but the really, really clever bit is one browser is in England or in Windsor and one's in Redmond. You can actually then move a note, a story, from one wall in the stand-up, and it would automatically move on the other side. So what this gives you is, in your stand-up in the morning, you will get near on real-time-ish kind of feedback as to what stories are being completed, in line with, say, a teleconference call, and that gives the customer a really, really good idea as to how fast tasks are being completed.
Have any of you ever experienced the pain of trying to buy a new car online and fight with the basic websites that are available from your online car manufacturers? Well, we thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if we could come up with something where you could have a new browsing experience written in Silverlight? So this is what we came up with. We can see we come in and we're immediately presented with the option to either buy or sell a car. We'll say that we want to buy a car. And then down on the left-hand side, rather than your normal drab drop-downs, we've actually got the ability to drill in and see much more visually what kinds of car it is that we want. We'll just go ahead and search for all cars though. This is now going back, searching for all of those car details for us, and it will now present them to us on a visually impactful way. We can see all of the cheaper cars are down towards the left-hand side of the screen, and as we scroll right, we start to get more and more expensive. We can click on one of those results and open up the details pane to see a bit more information about it. We can see a little video at the bottom about that particular car. And we can also take those cars and we can drag them into a wish list to compare them to each other. We can then click on the compare button in the bottom right. We get a kind of top trumped view of those cars. If we go back to the search though, we might want to start to filter our results a bit. On the left hand side you can see all of the different filters. We can filter based on the price, on the mileage, and on various different aspects that the car might have. So we can search here for cars with CD players, or aircon, or various other different kinds of things. Hopefully you agree it's something different from your average car website.